For years, Claudette Rogers and Smokey Robinson stood together as a rare black musical power couple. Then they broke up abruptly after 28 years of marriage, sending ripples of shock all over the music world. While gossip columnists and yellow journalists filled their pages with endless speculation, the family stayed silent. Now, though, decades later, their children are finally opening up about their parents' complicated relationship. Just how unhappy was Claudette in her long marriage to Smokey Robinson? We will tell it all in this video. With a net worth of over $400 million, Berry Gordy is a very rich man. He stands out as one of the few black multimillionaires in history. His record label, Motown Records, was a huge determinant to his success. At the center of it all was a soul supergroup known as the Miracles. Before the Miracles became known to the public, they underwent several iterations. First, as the Chimes, then, later on, as the Matadors. Throughout all their iterations, though, only one member remained constant, the handsome, light-skinned singer with golden green eyes known as Smokey Robinson. Smokey was the glue that held everything together. While other members of the band dropped out or moved away, he never gave up on his dream of becoming a music superstar. Eventually, he found the right people, helping him lead the group to success. This included the singer Bobby Rogers and his cousin Emerson Rogers. With a 5-member lineup including Smokey Robinson, Ronnie White, Pete Moore, Bobby Rogers, and Marv Tarplin, the Miracles became a money-printing supergroup. They scored over 50 chart-topping hits and were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. While everything appeared perfect on the outside, things were not so smooth on the inside. Circumstances were shifting around them, causing the group to once again reshuffle its members. In the fallout, there was lots of pleasure, as well as lots of pain. What happened was that Emerson Rogers, a key member of the band, was suddenly drafted into the U.S. Army. To fill the gaping hole of his absence, his beautiful sister, Claudette Rogers, stepped in. For Smokey Robinson, this situation was a cloud with a silver lining. Claudette was a better singer than her brother, and moreover, bands with female front members did even better with audiences. Without missing a beat, Claudette substituted her brother perfectly. Some would say a little too perfectly. Charmed, Smokey Robinson fell deeply in love with Claudette, so much so that he married her in 1959, making her a permanent fixture of his band and his life. In some ways, it was a perfect union, one which would definitely draw more audience attention to the group. Now, with a 6-member lineup, the Miracles did better than ever. Their popularity skyrocketed, etching their names in the annals of history. However, internally, things were spiraling. A lot of that had to do with the tumultuous relationship between Smokey and Claudette. Little did the public suspect what was going on behind the scenes. While the union between Smokey and Claudette had started out happy, the pressures of the business soon turned it sour. To keep his profits up, Motown boss Berry Gordy had the group touring like mad. While this was good for cash flow, it was horrible for raising a family. Claudette was under so much pressure that she suffered no less than 7 miscarriages during this period of her life. Each miscarriage was so traumatic that it put immense pressure on Claudette, so much so that she fell into depression, dragging the band down with her. With money to make, Smokey didn't let himself get drowned by Claudette's darkness. Instead, edged on by Berry Gordy, he put distance between himself and her. Now, Smokey was one of the most handsome public figures in the world at the time. Plus, constantly on tour, he had hundreds of women throwing themselves at his feet every night. While Claudette was bedridden with depression, Smokey began to participate in extramarital affairs. Even though he always felt guilty, he never stopped. One of Smokey's highest profile affairs was with the superstar Diana Ross. As two of the most attractive musicians who ever lived, theirs was a match made in heaven. While most of Smokey's affairs were one-night stands, his affair with Diana Ross lasted more than a year. The two were crazy about each other and just couldn't help it. Eventually, Diana broke off the entanglement. See, Claudette was her good friend, and she was feeling so guilty about betraying her this way. While Smokey didn't let the guilt affect him much, Diana just could not desensitize herself to it. Eventually feeling sorry for her friend, she left the relationship. Years later, Smokey reflected on this affair, saying he was still in love with Claudette the whole time. He went on to add that it was natural for him to be in love with multiple people this way. He chronicled this period of his life in the song, "The Agony and the Ecstasy." As for Diana, she wished to forget the whole thing and never ever spoke about it in public. Eventually, Claudette managed to bear 2 children for Smokey Robinson. The first was a boy, Barry Robinson, in 1968, and the second was a girl, Tamla Claudette Robinson, in 1971. Both of their names were inspired by Berry Gordy and his record label. Tamla was the original name of Motown Records, and Barry, well, that needs no explanation. Claudette believed that with the birth of her 2 children, she would finally be able to turn her marriage around. Unfortunately for her, that didn't happen. The 70s proved to be quite a tumultuous year for both her career and her marriage, so much so that it would change her life forever. The first event that shook up Claudette's life was the breakup of the Miracles. One by one, the members started leaving. While they were a group of 6 musicians, they were all completely overshadowed by Smokey Robinson. Anytime the media mentioned them, the member who got the most attention was Smokey. This made the others feel unappreciated. Were they artists themselves or merely tools that he used? To add insult to injury, in 1987, Smokey was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a solo artist. This was a remarkable slight to all the band members who had helped him achieve all his musical successes. Many fans and music critics lobbied against this decision, saying that the other members of the Miracles deserved to be recognized alongside Smokey. However, nothing changed. With nothing left to milk from the Miracles, Smokey Robinson retired from the band in 1973. While he stayed with Claudette for over 10 years, the magic had disappeared from the relationship. He kept up his extramarital affairs for many years. Finally, in 1984, he filed for a separation from her after giving birth to a son with another woman. And unwilling to be pinned down by Claudette anymore, Smokey left the relationship. He officially divorced her in 1986. It took decades for Claudette to recover from all the pain and hurt of those years. Now, though, she is back to being her old radiant self. Claudette Rogers Robinson is 81 now. As her children speak out more and more about her many contributions to the music industry, she is finally receiving her flowers. One of those key acknowledgments was when Berry Gordy referred to her as the First Lady of Motown in his autobiography. By giving her credit for helping build the most successful soul music record label in the world, a major injustice has been corrected. She was not just eye candy that hung off Smokey Robinson's arm in public. Instead, she was a creative spirit who helped build soul music into what it is today. Another major injustice that was corrected was the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. In 2012, 26 years after the original decision to induct only Smokey Robinson into the Hall of Fame, Claudette and the rest of the Miracles have finally been included in that prestigious group. Now, her status as a musical icon will endure forever. Her beauty and talent will be no mystery to future generations. Claudette has not been active in the music industry for years now. However, more and more every day, people are rediscovering her talent and her contributions. She even has a documentary about her life coming out soon. Admittedly, it is incredibly refreshing to see a Black woman receive the appropriate credit and attention for her life's work, especially in her lifetime. If you enjoyed this video, there's a good chance you'll also enjoy the one showing on your screen right now. Click, enjoy, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you on the next one.